I've read a lot of books in the past year, but which ones do I actually recommend? Let's find out next. One of my favorite ways to unwind at the end of the day is by reading a good book. I do this almost each and every night. This year, I've read about 20 to 25 books in total, but I certainly wouldn't recommend each and every title. So in today's video, I want to share with you my 7 favorite books of the past year, and I've broken it down into different categories. Everything from time management to sales to even a piece of fiction that I should have read many, many years ago. Now, just to let you know, not all of these books were published in the past year. These were books that I read for the first time in the last 12 months. If you'd like to learn more about any of these books, I've provided links in the description below. So, let's get started with, surprise, surprise, time management. Now, the first book on this list has quickly become one of my favorites. When by Daniel Pink shows us the scientific secrets of perfect timing. This has quickly become one of my favorite time management books of all time. In this book, author Daniel Pink shows us why when we do something is just as important as what we are doing. For example, do you know that you should be avoiding a large number of activities between the hours of 2 and 4 p.m.? In particular, don't visit a hospital during those 2 hours. Do you know that you should be starting many of your major goals on things like your birthday or maybe an anniversary? Don't just wait to the beginning of the year. This book is jam-packed with great ideas that you can implement not only for yourself, but also with your business. Now, I've read a number of Daniel Pink's other works and I was very impressed, but I have never been this much more engaged with his work than when I read When. So if you're a fan of time management or personal productivity books, you're going to want to pick this book up. Now, the second book on my list, I'm going to put into the category of sales, but really it goes so much further and beyond. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss is all about negotiation. And whether you are a salesperson or whether you have a conversation with almost anyone, you're going to benefit by this book. In Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss talks all about high stakes but also low stake negotiations. Everything from selling a product to having a conversation with your spouse, or maybe you want to get your kids to do something for you. Anyone can benefit from this book, and I found myself rereading a number of the chapters because whether I'm out to buy a new vehicle or perhaps sell you a service, the tips in this book are most valuable. Now, the third book that I read this year that I would recommend, I would put into the category of marketing. Of course, there's a difference between sales and marketing. And for this book, I've chosen Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Most of us are trying to clarify our message. As a business or an entrepreneur, you want someone to understand immediately what problem it is that you are trying to solve. And for many of us, we tend to scramble up that message within our website, within our social media, maybe even right here on YouTube. Donald Miller gives you a fantastic template that you can replicate for different products or different businesses as a whole. In fact, he shows you why almost every single major motion picture follows this exact same story to clarify their message. So if you want to get clear with what you are trying to sell or the service you're trying to provide, I recommend you pick up this book. Now, during the course of my year, I try to pick up a book that is related to philosophy or perhaps psychology. And in this category, I would have to pick 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Now, both this book and Jordan Peterson are somewhat controversial, and I can't say that I recommend everything in which Dr. Peterson talks about within this book. But if you are looking for someone to challenge you and get you thinking about the different complexities that we face in this life, you're going to enjoy the 12 Rules for Life. I particularly like how he brings in data, and as a clinical psychologist, how he brings in his own research, but the research of others to try and defend his arguments or prove his points. Now, this wasn't an easy book to read. It certainly wasn't maybe the easiest thing to read before bedtime, but once in a while, you need a book to challenge you, and that's what I liked about the 12 Rules for Life. Now, my fifth recommendation on this list, I'm going to have to put into the category of self-help. I know you may not be wild about that title, just like I'm not wild about that subject area, but let's be honest, we still use it. You're still going to find a self-help section in your local bookstore. For this category, the book that made the biggest difference in my life is The More of Less by Joshua Becker. Now, Joshua Becker runs a very popular blog all about minimalism, something that you've maybe heard a lot more frequently in the last few years, about living with fewer items, having less clutter in your home. I really appreciated his philosophy and the things that he talked about in the book because although most of them are related about the home and physical items, I think a lot of what he talks about is in line with what I teach and talk about right here on Simpletivity, that less really is more. And by keeping things simple, you have an opportunity to work at your productive best. So if you would like a taste of the minimalist lifestyle and get some great ideas about how you can purge some of that excess, I'd recommend The More of Less by Joshua Becker. Now, a year of reading for me wouldn't be complete without reading at least one biography. And this year, the one that I would recommend is Elon Musk by author Ashley Vance. Now, this biography has been out for a number of years, and it's been the top of many bestseller lists during that period of time. I finally got around to reading it, and I'm glad I did, but maybe not for the reasons that you think. Yes, it's very impressive to see his life story and to see how many different things that he's accomplished and really started to transform the way that we work and the way that we may be exploring other worlds. But one of my takeaways from reading this biography is how we treat one another. And I have to admit, I walked away with some of the similar feelings I had after reading the Steve Jobs biography. Both of these men have done some amazing things in their lives, however, at the cost of many other lives. And no, I'm not talking about death or murder, but it's very apparent that both of these men have been very ruthless with their relationships, both with the people closest to them, including marriages and estranged children, but especially the people that work for them. And although they both have very, very loyal fan bases, it often gets me to thinking about how we treat one another and is it worth it? So that's just my personal take on this particular biography, but if you do want a fascinating look at a fascinating person, you may want to check out the Elon Musk biography. Well, we're almost near the end of my list, but before I reveal my seventh and final recommendation, I want to hear from you. What were your favorite books from the past year? They don't have to have been published in the past year, but of all the books you read in the last 12 months, which ones were your favorite? Be sure to tell me in the comments below. So for my seventh and final selection, I have to go with a work of fiction, something that I actually don't read a lot of. You probably already noticed that by hearing my 6 previous recommendations. But when it comes to my favorite book in the genre of fiction, I'd have to go with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I know you might be surprised by that because I actually like science fiction, and this is already a classic. But The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams combines 2 of my favorite things, science fiction and humor, and there are healthy doses of both throughout this classic. So if you have not yet read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you might want to do so in the coming year. So there you have it, my 7 favorite books from the past year. I hope that you make time as a part of your day to read each and every day. If you want to get the most out of your business, If you want to get the most out of your life, you need to continue to learn, and books is a fantastic way to do so. Thank you again for watching today's video. I hope you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to tell me your book recommendations in the comments below. Remember, being productive does not need to be difficult. In fact, it's very simple.